You spoke earlier about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's been this incredible story that, quite frankly, has been decoupled from the rest of the market the past year or so. And so, like you said, right now we had a pretty massive action from the United States on Iran over the weekend, and Bitcoin is still above 100,000. It's at 101 and change, down from an all-time high of 12, and maybe down from 104, 105 before that action. And it's become kind of I guess could be called the risk on asset over the weekend because not much else trades. But we've also seen Bitcoin dominance going even higher and higher and higher. I think it hit 66% over the weekend. And Benjamin Cowan, who runs Into the Cryptoverse, is a former guest. He's cheerleading it the whole way, much to the chagrin of altcoin holders, maybe like us. Is this ever going to stop? Because Bitcoin seems to be taking all the air out of the room. We have seen the Ethereum ETF pick up recently. I think it had 15 days straight. Some people say that stable coins are the Ethereum Trojan horse into Wall Street, but altcoins have been struggling in a significant way. That includes gaming tokens. That includes lots of things. Is this going to continue? Is there any respite in sight? Or is Bitcoin going to continue to suck all the air out of the room, especially with all these treasury companies? Yes. There's 113 public companies that are now buying treasuries at the last glance. That probably means, and I'm not joking, it's probably up to 140, 150 by now of people that are thinking about it. Yes. So what is your call on that? I'm sure people ask you about this all the time, including your investors.
So first of all, the whole sort of buying Bitcoin as a treasury asset, there are those who really believe in it. Right. And we just backed one ourselves called DDC Enterprises.
Okay. What country?
It's US listed.
US. Okay.
But Norma, the founder, she's Chinese.
Okay.
And she basically got a lot of support from Chinese Bitcoin holders to do this play. And it's done very, very well as well. So, and again, long-term prospect for Bitcoin. We're totally positive on this one.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing, and I said this before on your show to understand, is that when Bitcoin does well, ultimately, it's great for the entire ecosystem because of the permissionless nature of crypto and of tokenization. You actually don't have a monopoly effect. So as much as people say, oh, look at Bitcoin sucking out all the air, at the end of the day, when you make money on Bitcoin because it goes up, you end up putting it somewhere else. And when you put it in there, whether it's through leverage, right, which is the other point here, right? Like part of the reason why when the markets deleverage so quickly is that because they've leveraged their Bitcoin to do something else in the crypto space, whether it's DeFi or other tokens or that kind of stuff, then actually, it just shows that the more money you make in Bitcoin, the more capital flows into the rest of the ecosystem.
Well, Michael Saylor's not putting capital in the ecosystem.
Yeah, but
the treasury companies aren't putting capital in the ecosystem. The Maxis aren't doing it, and the hodlers aren't doing it. They're just going to hold.
But that's not true. The hodlers actually are looking at ways in which they can generate yield from this.
Some are.
Yes, exactly.
If they can find a way without.
And so the yield plays of Bitcoin are starting to be that next wave, right? In terms of basically doing stuff there.
But they're so far disappointed.
Yeah. That's because the yield, it's conservative yield. So we're talking about single digit percentage, right? So if you want to compare it to altcoin gains, you can't basically look at it the same way.
Questions about custody and
correct.
That kind of thing as well.
Exactly. But very, very quickly, just on this point, is that when Bitcoin increases in value, at the end of the day, we might say, oh, look at how it's taking out the sort of, all the air out. But actually, really what's happened is that the sort of altcoin space has been more diluted with many, many more tokens.
Investment Club. Today, I consider it the best investment that I've ever made. We get 4 projects presented a week by their associated CEOs. Personally, I'm completely blown away by the quality of these projects, and I know of nowhere else where I would be given this same opportunity. Each week that passes, I feel more appreciative of the fact that I'm a member of this group. The vibe was just tremendous. Everybody's on the same wavelength. We just clicked. Everybody listened to each other, enjoyed their company. It was just magical. Take action. Don't take my word for it. Due diligence you need to do. And I really hope that someday down the road I see you in the club. It far exceeded expectations, without question.
When you look at the total market value of altcoins, actually, they've done fairly well as well. So at the $3.4 trillion of market cap size, I think Bitcoin's about 1.6 trillion, right? Give or take, maybe something like that.
Or 2.
It depends on which day you're looking at, right?
Yeah, okay.
But once you take out stablecoins, it was about 300 or 400 billion. The rest is altcoins, right? So that market has grown but it's just been distributed over many, many more tokens.
Right.
The second thing is when you take a look at, for instance, and we can get into things like Ethereum and Solana and some of the big ones, because certainly I would say a lot of people look at Ethereum specifically. They're not looking at the new tokens. They're looking at Ethereum specifically and saying, oh, look how that's disappointed. And then in their mind frame, they're like, okay, well, if Ethereum's done badly, then what about all the other ones? Discounting the fact that over the last year, essentially, millions of new tokens have launched, of which at least hundreds of them have done phenomenally well, right? Including our own Mocha token, for instance, which was, if you think about it, it didn't exist before and has a $600-700 million value, even in this kind of market, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Or if you look at, for instance, the launch of something like, basically the Pengu token with Pudgy Penguins, right? Sure. I mean, do we believe that both of these tokens should be worth more? Yes. But again, we're talking about a token that essentially did not exist up until December of last year, and now has a value of somewhere between $600 to $800 million as well, and trading very, very actively. So we shouldn't forget that that's what's happening. And so this to me is the reason you look at altcoins versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin is basically your gold. So it's your reserve asset, right? But if you want to take sort of opportunities of fast growth, it's always going to be in altcoins. You're not going to have Bitcoin go, 100x or even 10x. I mean, it will go there, but it will go there over time. Do I believe that Bitcoin's worth $1 million? Absolutely. I've been saying this all the time. It's going to be one of the biggest status symbols in the crypto world to have one full Bitcoin. So I absolutely believe that. However, is it going to happen this year? Nobody's going to say that, right?
Right.
But
Correct.
do you believe that, a token that you basically want to support or that you think you believe in, like a startup, for instance, that it could rise, 10, 20x or even just 3 or 4 or 5x within a year? Yes. So the index to think about is, will this project outperform Bitcoin? And if it doesn't, sure, then maybe buy Bitcoin. And there's this interesting sort of theory that in behavioral economics that I think Daniel Kahneman put out under, I think it's called prospect theory, but there's multiple theories that really talk about this, which is that most humans appear to be more sensitive towards an aversion of loss rather than gain, right? Mm. So when things are dicey and you want to play it safe, it's more painful for you to have lost than to the experience of losing was more painful than the experience of winning, right? So you forget, for instance, that, hey, you know what? If you invested in Axie Infinity or in Sand tokens in 21, and you would have basically made a ton of money, but then the fact that you maybe invested in some meme coins in, I don't know, or like Trump token or whatever it is that you invested in earlier in the year, and you lost a lot, that whole category gets bunched together into altcoins, and they say, oh my goodness, that was very painful. Then we'll do this. Or for instance, terrible disasters like Lunaterra, right? So you want to go into something that feels sort of more safe, and less risky. Then that's where people put money into things like Bitcoin. But I think what will also happen is that there's going to be a bifurcation ultimately between what's in the category of altcoins, right? So in other words, because altcoins today is everything but Bitcoin.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Exactly. What is it?
Terrible word.
Yeah. It's a terrible world, right? So you have in there, you've got Solana, you've got Ethereum, right. But then you also have Bonk, and you have Mocha in there and Sandbox, and then you have every millions of other tokens. Yeah. I mean, that's not actually a fair definition either, right? So ultimately, you're going to have these areas where you've got your Bitcoin, then you've got your institutional token plays, which includes Ethereum, Solanas, we think also Mocha, and sort of, and then even the ones that are sort of in the meme category, like a Pengu, for instance, or even an ApeCoin. Sure, right? They've been struggling in this market environment in macro, but you've got people building behind it. You've got real ecosystems. You've got real support behind them, right? And we see that as a market opportunity.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.